Record. There we
And
go. Okay, so welcome to today's B Cube session. And today's topic is your expert book in 2 days. So yes, I did run a full webinar on this last week. And so today's going to be a quicker version of that, but also excited to be on Facebook Live so we can make this interactive. So if you are watching on Facebook Live, please shout out in the comments, let me know that you're watching and that you're here. If you've got any questions, please ask. But for the most engaged experience, do jump into the Zoom room with us, and we'll make sure that there's a link for you in the comments so that you can come and join us in the Zoom room, because I can actually see you in there and we can have a full interaction as well. So I'll be most engaged with the people who are in the Zoom room. Hi, Lauren. Great. Thanks for joining us. Hello, hello. So yes, we're going to be talking about today how to create your expert book. And so for me, I actually wrote my first book. So that's this one here. This one here, I wrote the first draft of that in 2.5 days, which I thought was pretty fast because I'd never written a book before. So I was, pretty excited with my work there. But I topped that when I wrote my second book, because I wrote the first draft of that in 48 hours. So yeah. And what I want to also point out is that it's not just about writing it fast and getting it done, but also making sure that we are producing a high quality book that our audience and our clients will absolutely love and adore, and that it's actually going to be something that does add that credibility and authority in our repertoire, right? That's something that we can give to somebody and they're going to read it and go, that was amazing, give me more of that, and they're going to want to work with you. That's what we want to happen with our expert book. So we need to make sure that not only we get it done, and I think getting it done fast is the best way to do it, because why make it drag on forever, and but that we also make sure it is of a high standard, so that it's shedding the best light on you as an expert in your field. I'm just looking. I went to personal training this morning. Here's like insight into Renee's life. I've been to personal training and I just had a shower, so my hair is still wet. So if you're wondering like why I'm like looking all wet and just out of the shower, I am just out of the shower literally. So yep, hi, at least I'm clean and you can't smell me. All right. So I'm going to be heading over to, in the Zoom room, I'm going to be sharing some slides and stuff as well. So as I said, if you want to jump in there and join me there, you'll be able to see all the slides and models, of course, as you would expect from me. All right, so yes, as I said, author of 2 best-selling books, and the story of how I wrote book 2, because when I wrote book 1, I actually went off on a 7-day book writing retreat, and I thought writing it in 7 days was going to be super fast. I thought that would be impressive, but as I said, I managed to do it, the first draft, in 2.5 days on that retreat, and it was a beautiful experience on Stradbroke Island. It was lovely, and but I felt like with book 2, I didn't need the support of having a group of other people there to show me how to write a book, because I knew how to do it. I'd done it before. And I also had the structure from the models as well. So I knew exactly what I was doing. I knew how it needed to be done. But I knew that what was holding me back, because with book 2, I didn't write it straight away. It was kind of in my head and on my to-do list for I guess it was on my to-do list for sort of around 12 months before I actually, not put pen to paper, because I actually did it with my fingers and a keyboard. But it took about 12 months of me saying I'm going to do it before I actually did it. And the reason that happens is because it's important, but it's not urgent, right? And we all know this in our life and in our business. There are lots of tasks that are important, and we know that they're going to benefit us if we get them done, but they're not urgent. The house isn't going to burn down if you don't do it today. So we can put it off another day, and we deal with the things that are right in front of us and urgent and need to be done in the moment, right then and there. So writing my book was one of those things that was important but not urgent. So I needed to prioritize it in a way that would mean I would get it done. I needed to overcome those obstacles and the procrastinations and the distractions that make us keep putting those important tasks off. So what I did was I booked in my accommodation. I booked in actually 3 nights accommodation at a local B&B in Smith's Gully. For those of you who know Melbourne, it's sort of like outskirts of northern Melbourne. Beautiful location out in the Aussie bush, and I had someone there who was going to take care of 3 meals a day and look after me. And I had this gorgeous room. If you're in the Zoom room, you can see the actual room. That's the actual room I stayed in. That's where I was for my for writing of book 2. And So I got the family actually dropped me off because we're a one-car family. We like to have one car, so we minimise how much car usage we have in the household. And so I wanted to leave the car with Ant and the kids while I went off to write my book. I didn't want to leave them carless. So they actually drove me to the location. We all had dinner together, which was really beautiful. As I said, it was a B&B, it was a vegan B&B. And so Jan, who was the host of the Beat Retreat where I stayed, made dinner for all of us. We all had dinner together. And then I promised Ant and the kids that I would write my book. And when they came to pick me up on Saturday, that I'd be all done, ready to go, come home. So they left on the Wednesday night, and I sort of made a commitment not only to them, because I wanted to, if I'm spending that much time away from my family as well, that gave me some leverage as well, because that was for me a personal commitment. I'm saying to my family, hi Megan, saying to my family, I'm going to spend this time away from you to write my book, then I better come home with my book finished, right? So that was my first kind of accountability, if you like. But then what I also did was I made myself accountable to my publisher. I said to Natasha Denman, who published my second book for me at Ultimate World Publishing, I said to Nat, I will submit my manuscript by 6 p.m. on Friday, right? And I checked in on Wednesday night. So that gave me 48 hours, right? So I said, 6 p.m. Friday, you will have the draft of book 2. So I've made 2 commitments now, one to my family, one to my publisher. And then I said on Facebook, not on Facebook, well, yes, on Facebook, but on, multiple social media platforms, mostly Facebook and LinkedIn really. I went out to the world and I told the world I'm also going to do this. So family commitment, publisher commitment, social media commitment. Now I've made lots of commitments so that I'm going to follow through, because I'm not, when we kind of have these important tasks to do, it's easy enough for us to kind of, if we're only telling ourselves, if I said to myself, oh yeah, I'll get my book written by 6 p.m. Friday this week, if I was going to do that for book 3, for example. No, if nobody else knows that I've said I'm going to do that, it's easy for me to go, I'll just do it next week. No worries. No big deal. No one knows about it. And I can let myself down in that way because it's just me. Hi, Vinny. Hi, Effie. Thanks for joining. So that's kind of for me, the importance of making those public declarations and making those commitments and accountabilities to other people who will hold you accountable. That for me was a really important part of the process, because I knew how to write the book. So it's not about, for me, it wasn't about the how, it was just making sure that I followed through. So if you're following through, and procrastinating is one of your challenges, then that would be the thing that I would say to do, is make those accountabilities and declarations to other people and promises to other people, so that you've got that external accountability. And we're going to talk about the structure as well, so that you've got that. So I know that's easy for me, but it's not easy for everyone. So the structure is what we will talk about today. I'm going to share with you how you take a signature system and turn that into a table of contents for your own book. And so make sure, that's what I'm going to be covering as we get into the juice. So as I said, I published book 2 with Natasha Denman. So that's the front cover of my book for those of you in the Zoom room. And we've got a couple more people in there. Hi, Chris. Thanks for joining. So this was book 2. That's my front cover. So already from my publisher, I had mock-ups of the front cover as well. So I was able to start seeding. And this is really important in the launch process, because in both my books, I've been #1 Amazon bestseller. And part of that process is, taking people along the journey, like taking your audience on the journey, letting people know that something is coming. So you kind of think about it in the same way as you would organizing a wedding, for example. Like you would announce, oh, I'm engaged, right? So people know there's a wedding coming, right? You don't have all the details, because I think a lot of business owners feel like they have to have every little detail lined up, every single, thing perfect before they tell anyone about it. Do not do that. If you're going to be launching something, you want to be seeding it along the way. As you make micro decisions, tell the world you've made a micro decision. Like, I'm writing book 2. That's a post. Put it out there. It's coming, right? I've decided, I found my publisher. Great. Let people know about that. Here's the cover of my new book. every little thing can be seeded along the way and shared with your audience. Take them on that journey so that when you actually do launch the book, they know it's coming and they're ready for it. They're waiting for it, right? So you can actually do the launch process is a lot to do with the pre-launch and really sharing the experience and the journey with your clients. Hey, Veronica. All right, so as I said, I launched book 2. So actually, I haven't said it here today. I launched book 2 on the 8th of March, 2019, which was International Women's Day. And we did get to #1 Amazon bestseller, as I mentioned. And there's kind of, you know, for those who haven't done it before, it may seem like this crazy, big, massive achievement. And you know, the first time I did it, it really did feel like a huge thing. But the second time I did it, I was kind of like, yeah, I kind of knew that was going to happen, right? Because it's once you know how to do it, there's a strategy, you follow the strategy, you do it, and you can get the #1 Amazon bestseller. And so, you know, essentially, there's kind of like in Amazon, there's categories and levels. So the top level category, I think, is entrepreneurship and business, or business and economics, I think, is the top level of, you know, where I was aiming for. And then under that, there are subcategories like entrepreneurship, and then there's like this micro, you know, it goes levels down in the subcategories. So getting to #1 in one of like the lowest subcategories where there aren't many books and not much of an audience, that's like super, super easy. You could do that by selling maybe 20 copies or so. But if you want to aim higher, which is what I did, is I wanted to aim higher, and we got to #1 in business and economics, and that took a lot more work. So that's more like hitting something like 100 book sales in a short period of time. It's all in a concentrated period of time. So kind of within a couple of hours time, you want to get everybody you know to be buying the book all at the same time, and that's, you know, going to push you up to that #1 bestseller. So that there is a bit of work involved, but it does add a little bit of credibility in some ways. And, you know, people may argue, well, no, it doesn't, because it doesn't really mean that much because it's only 100 books being sold. But, you know, for those people who don't know that if you just follow the strategy, you can do it too. It does look impressive for other people. So if you're writing your book as an expert book that you want to add credibility and authority, then it could be a nice to have that bestseller kind of status. Are there any questions on that, by the way? Throw it out there. Lauren, Linda, Chris, no? All good. What about people on Facebook Live? Hey, Bradley. Yeah, if any of you have got any questions. Hey, Lisa. Please do let me know if you've got any questions. All right. So yes, so that was the launch. So we got to, I think we started the launch at around 9 a.m. that day. Stevie, correct me if I'm wrong. I can't remember exactly. But before lunchtime, we'd already hit #1 in a couple of categories. And I think it was actually like within 1 or 2 hours. It actually happened so fast. It was almost like it was an anticlimax, because it was like, we did it already. Is that it? And it kind of was almost like, I wanted it to be a bit harder, so I felt like, you know, I reached the top of the mountain, woohoo, it was a bit of an effort. But that was, again, in those lower categories. So then we pushed and we set ourselves that goal of making sure that we got to that business and economics #1. So that took a little bit more work and a little bit more effort, because Scott Pape was holding on with his Barefoot Investor book. That was holding on to #1 place. So it took a bit more work to knock him off his perch. But once that got done, we're like, yes, that was the bit that I was excited about celebrating, because that, you know, it's just like the things that feel like they're a bit more work, the things that we get a bit more excited about, I think. All right, so yes, we hit hot new releases, and I'm just showing for those of you on Facebook Live, if you want to jump into the Zoom room and see the pictures, please do. You'll see the link in the comments. But yeah, we're in hot new releases, in movers and shakers. And I'd also say, so if you're going to do an online launch as well with your book, is to be ready to take screenshots of these things, because it's fleeting. It really is a fleeting process. You know, you'll be at #1 and then you'll be back down at 37 once your whole launch is over. So get it while it's there, get the screenshots, get your social proof, so that you've got this backup stuff for later. So I had, you know, Stevie and I were both kind of watching and going, look, we're on movers and shakers, and you know, there's all that kind of going on in the background. And I would say share the experience with someone as well. When I did it, I think, book 1, I was kind of mostly launching on my own, and you know, hubby was at work, the kids were at school, and it was kind of a bit lonely. So it was nice this time round to have Stevie, you know, also watching, and you know, and I reckon if there's a way that you can do it and have friends around you, like make a bit of a thing of it when you've got to make a bit of a group thing so that you're kind of celebrating the process together, because I don't know, it's almost surreal when you're kind of at home on your own and getting to making this achievement, and then it's kind of like, I got no one to jump up and down with. So yeah, it'd be nice, I think, to do it with a few friends, and maybe that's a good thing for me to think about for launching book 3 as well. I mean, we did launch the physical book that night as well. I've got a couple of photos here as well showing. So this is hitting number 1 in entrepreneurship, number 1 in small business and entrepreneurship, and then this was the bestseller in business and economics. So that was the one that I really was fighting for. Yeah, what was it? Yeah, so for book 3, I think I might actually do that. And we did also launch that same night. So we did during the day, we did the Amazon launch, so the ebook launch, if you like. So when we did that as well, we sold it for 99 cents. So it's just like it's a no-brainer, because you just want quantity going out so you can hit it. It's not about making money. And if you think you're going to make $1 million with an expert book, you know, I'm not saying that it's impossible, but it's very unlikely. You know, not many authors are going to make lots of money in their books in the expert space. So, you know, really the reason that most experts and thought leaders are telling me they want to write books is because it's about that credibility and the authority. So, yeah, to do that, yeah, you're not going to make $1 million out of it. It's not going to be the thing that brings in all the money in your business. It's a means to an end. It's you know, one of those products that then potentially leads to people working with you at your higher ticket items. Another thing I'd say about also with the credibility and authority is I got Kate Toon to write the foreword for my second book. And on my first book, I had Andrew Griffiths and Peter Cook write the forewords. And so there's a bit of thinking behind that. You want to pick someone in your industry who's already a known name, that has credibility and authority, because by them writing the foreword for your book, that adds extra weight to your book itself. So Kate Toon wrote the book. Sorry, not wrote the book. She didn't write the book. She wrote the foreword. She probably could have written the book. She wrote the foreword for me, and that also added a bit of credibility as well. And it also meant that she then, as you can see for those of you in the Zoom room, she then promoted the book as well, and, you know, said nice stuff about it. And then as the testimonials started coming in, so as I said, it wasn't just about getting it fast, getting to number 1, but it was also about making it a quality book, so that the feedback I was getting was, this is awesome. And that's what you want for your expert book. You want your audience, you want your readers to be loving it, so that they just want more of you. All right. So are there any questions out there in Facebook land or over in Zoom? If you've got any questions, just unmute yourself if you're in Zoom and you want to ask me anything. Hi, Mel. Thanks for joining. So, all right. So let's look at, as I said, we've got these 2 books, and where am I going to get up to here? Oh, yeah, that's the group launch. So after we did after we did the Amazon launch online and got to that number 1, that night then was the physical book launch, which was in Melbourne. And I actually did that through my publisher, Natasha Denman. She actually organised a group book launch. So I think there are about 10 authors all launching their books at the same time. In the photo in Zoom, you can see that's my crazy family and me celebrating on the night, which was very nice. So once they got home, I got to celebrate with them, and we all went out to the launch itself. So, and the reason I chose to do so, with book 1, I actually organised my own book launch and did it all myself. The reason for book 2, we decided to do it as a group, going to the group book launch, was in March when this book was launched, we were already running, like we were doing 4 national tours a year at that point, which we've now scaled back. But at that time, we were doing 4 national tours. We were doing quarterly authority accelerators. We were doing monthly meetups. We were running so many events as a team that my team and I just thought, we can't add one more event to our schedule or we will break. So we thought, great, let's jump on board with Nat and join her group book launch, because that's one less event for us to organise. And then we just, sold tickets to it so that we got, our family and friends there to come along as well. So That's about the launching. All right, now, and then there's the photo of, that's the photo of all of us launching our books that night. So it was pretty cool because Nat's daughter, Mika, also launched her first book that night too, which is pretty cool. All right, so I would love to throw it out to you guys and find out why you want to write a book. So if you could just, in the comments, if you're watching on Facebook Live, tell me in the comments why you want to write a book. And for those of you in the Zoom room, feel free to unmute and let me know. So Lauren, why do you want to write a book? And then Linda and Chris, I'll ask you as well.
I think because, there's so much in my head, and I think it's another way of bringing out the clarity and sort of expanding. I love the idea of the visual models, but then it's expanding on all of that. So it's a way of bringing it into the material world instead of just being all out there in the ethers.
Yes. So it does. It brings it into the material, the physical world, because if you've got all this knowledge locked in your head, right, one of the ways to make it physical and tangible, once you've put it into Signature System, yes, tick, that does that. But also then putting it into a book does take that to another level. So yeah, great. Thanks, Lauren. Linda, what about you?
For credibility and sharing my message to help others.
Yeah, credibility and sharing your message to help others. Love it. What about you, Chris? I'll unmute you. No, hold on. You're still muted. It's not letting me. There we go. Go.
All right. Can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay. Hi. No, I'm thinking about books as a way of running, say, a workshop and then giving something to take away.
Yeah, nice.
That they can study for themselves, at their own pace, or continue studying from there on. So
nice.
That's the sort of idea around my books.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so for those, if you couldn't hear on Facebook Live, so Chris is saying that for him, the books would be as like a companion, a document that students can take away when they come to his trainings, and then they can take that home as, a study guide as well. So, and that's another great purpose of it as well is, that for many people, they need to hear your message more than once for it to sink in. And so having that in book format as well means that they've got that whenever they need it. And Megan's saying to share your story. Beautiful. Excellent. So I think the reasons people write books are quite personal, but, generally there are some overlapping kind of reasons that tend to shine through, especially when it comes to an expert book. So now over in the Zoom room, I'm going to share with you the table of contents. So feel free to come and join us over there as well, because this will be quite visual. Right. So this table of contents assumes that you've already created your signature system. So if you haven't already done that, I encourage you just check out my stuff. Hey, look, in here, this tells you how to create a signature system, or come along to one of my webinars, or join me in the Game Changers online program to create your signature system. Because once your signature system is created, writing the book that's why I can write a book in 48 hours, is because the hardest part of the writing of a book is pulling the information out of your head, untangling it, and putting it into a structure that actually is logical and rational and makes sense, right? So if you have already created your signature system, you've done the hardest part of the work. Your signature system is already there. So assuming you've got that signature system with your 4 models, right, and you've got the pitch script that I've taught you, so essentially what you're going to be doing to write your book is talking through each of those models. Now, you can do this in 2 ways. You can type it out if you like. If you're fast at typing and you're natural at writing and you're not going to overthink it, go for it, do it that way. Or another way you can do it is to record yourself talking through the models. Hit record, talk through it all, get it transcribed, done, right? So you've got 2 super quick, easy options for getting it out as fast as you can. So the table of contents. So we start the book, and this is the main content of the book. So I'm assuming like in the beginning, you're going to have your foreword. So you get that written by an expert. Then you have your introduction, where you introduce yourself a little bit and talk a bit about yourself, right? And then to get into the main content, then the first part is talking about the benefits of your thing. So whatever it is that you're selling, promoting, whatever your idea is, we're going to talk about the benefits, and we're going to do that using your yes model. Now, the reason we're putting the yes model at the start is because we need to answer the what's in it for me question up front. So for those of you who've worked with me before and you've studied with me before, you'll hear, in the pitch script, I'll always talk about, we usually start with the excite model, right? So this is the pitch script. It's the same order as the pitch script, except we're sticking a yes model at the top. So it's still the pitch script, but we're just bumping a yes model at the top and still leaving it at the end as well. So the yes model is going to be the bookends of your book. Ha ha ha. See what I did there? Okay, so now the reason we must capture our audience by answering what's in it for me question up front is your reader is not a captive audience. So if you're running a workshop or you're a keynote speaker, you can absolutely start with the excite model and the yes model, telling the benefits and answering that what's in it for me thing. That's your kind of money shot at the end. That's totally fine, right? They're not going to run out of the room while you're in there presenting your content, right? So they're going to be listening and paying attention because they're polite generally, right? And you're going to keep them engaged with your quality content. So that's all fine. But with a book, we can't force them when they're not in the same room as us. So we can't force them to read past the first bit. So we need to make sure that we've got enough leverage in the beginning by talking about what's in it for me. Hey, Adam, thanks for joining us. So that's why the yes model comes at the front end of your book. So we're going to you talk about the benefits first. Okay. Then we bring in the excite model. So your excite model, just to remind you, is the one that tells your hero's journey, right? It's talking about the journey of someone just like your ideal client. And now you're going to tell that in either first person, you're going to use that and tell your own personal story of how you went from zero to hero, or you're going to tell a client's story and tell it in third person, right? So that is the excite model there. Right, and the beginning of each of these sections, so you actually put a visual, you put your yes model in before you, and then you expand and talk about it. Then you put your excite model in, and then you talk about it, right? So that's that bit. Then you talk about the success model. So we're going to then introduce the keys to success. So if you want to successfully transition from one-on-one to one-to-many, these are the key ingredients you need to master. And then, you put in whatever your success model is. So whatever success is for your clients, then that's what you're going to be talking about in terms of the success model there for the third part of that book. Okay, and then we move into the educate model. And this is the bit that actually, so even though, this is part 4 of the book, this part is probably going to be the biggest section of the book, because your educate model is how you actually do it. And some people might say, oh, in a book you talk about the why and the what they have to do, but not the how. I disagree with that. I think you throw in the how as well, because people aren't paying you for information. They're paying you for implementation. And so they'll see that you've actually got a great process. And when they can see that, they're going to know, like, and trust you more. And then if they want to actually follow through, they will work with you to do that. So that they're going to be paying you for the implementation and the accountability and the hand holding and, actually having your eyes on their work and giving giving them the feedback that they need. That's what they're going to pay you for. We live in the age of Google, and to expect that our clients aren't going to be able to just Google search how to do this stuff anyway is a bit silly. So we put in the educate model is adding massive value on exactly how you get the result following your educate model. So that's going to be your step-by-step proven process. And you want to expand on that. And you can expand on by putting in case studies. You want to add in exercises, all as much detail as you can in terms of, why each step is important, what needs to be done, and how to do it. Go there. Great. And then finally, we come back to that yes model. We recap the benefits for them in actually following through and following this process. Then these are the benefits, and we give them the benefits using that yes model once again. Okay, so I'm going to say goodbye to people on Facebook Live. Thank you so much for joining me. Woohoo! You're awesome. I hope you loved it. If you're watching the replay, do hashtag replay so I know. But thank you so much for joining me live. Awesome. Cool. And for those of you in the Zoom room, are there any questions? I can do this now. All good, all good. Awesome. All right. So I'll go back to as well. Now, I know that Lauren and Chris, you've actually already worked with me to create your models, which is very exciting. So Linda, this is for your benefit, that if you wanted to create your signature system using visual models, the best way to work with me is through the Game Changer online course. So it follows the same structure as the book, but it's broken down into step-by-step chunks. So it just means that you follow each video, extract your models, and at the end, then you're ready to write your book. And included in, so I don't know if you guys have looked in Thinkific recently, but if you jump into Thinkific, there actually is the table of contents Word document is in there. And Stevie, have we got a video in terms of how to actually do that as well? I'm not sure if we do, but we can always add one of these in. Yeah. So all the resources in terms of not just how to create a book, but there are also the templates in there for how to create a monthly or a weekly group program. If you want to create a keynote presentation. So that every, not every, but quite a lot of different standard type applications that consultants, experts, thought leaders will want to be turning their visual models and their signature systems into. The templates for those are all there in the Game Changer course. So, this is a great way to fast track your book writing and make sure that you actually get it done. And also for my clients, even though, so this is $1,100 off, $1,100 up front, or there's also the payment plan. But I would say that you get, if you decide to publish your book, Natasha Denman actually has a $1,500 discount to my clients. So if you go ahead and publish with Nat, you actually get more than what you pay me off her package, which is phenomenal. So she has an awesome publishing package for my clients, which is $5,000. So once you kind of write your book, she will do all the publishing part of it. So the proofreading, editing, all of that stuff is done by Nat and her team, and really, really great service. So I'm saying this specifically for my clients who already have their models, and if you're ready to go and then write your book, then definitely talk to Nat, and their details are again in Thinkific for how to contact her and get the access to that special discount as well. Awesome. I'm going to stop recording.